Heyo, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to episode 3 of Bar. So we're going to be going into Tech 2 today, but only a very specific part of Tech 2. So the other day I tried to record a generalized T2 video and, well, turned out to be like an hour long. Um, I don't really want to put you guys through that, so we're going to try and condense this as much as possible. So we are only going over the Tech 2 construction bot today. I'm going to be utilizing one other T2 bot, and that's going to be the combat engineer, but I'm only using it for the build power that comes with it, not the other abilities that it has. So with that in mind, let's jump right into it. So I've already started a game. I'm gonna hit return to game. We're T1 right now. As you can see, I'm actually reclaiming my Tech 1 bot lab in order to get the 670 metal that can come from it. So that will help seriously boost the build of my Tech 2 bot lab, because I also want my construction turret helping with that, but I don't have the metal to support 48 metal per second if I only had 300 metal. But with 800 metal, I now have the ability to build this Tech 2 bot lab in, well, about 45 seconds, which is awesome. So we're going to be doing that. You have priority. All right. So one other thing I wanted to mention before we get into T2 is I just learned this. Naval energy converters actually convert 70 energy into 1.1 metal per second, compared to the land-based, which only produces 70 energy into 1 metal per second. So naval energy converters are actually more efficient. So I guess a lesson to be learned is never be afraid to learn more about the game you're playing. I mean, there's so much that Beyond All Reason offers that, honestly, guys, we won't be able to touch very quickly at all. And I hope that you guys are always able to just go into the game and expect that there will be things that I won't be able to teach you immediately off the bat, right? And that's okay. There will be certain things where you will learn them on your own before I ever get a chance to show you. So yeah, just keep that in mind. Alright, now let's get into it. What is T2? T2 is essentially just an upgraded version of T1, as you know the name would suggest. So all of the things that T2 does is more or less an upgraded form of T1. So you're going to have better eco, better defenses, better information, and better forms of attack when you get into T2. The issue when going into T2 is that it's actually going to take more economy to support, right? That makes a bit of sense. So building an advanced metal converter, it's seriously worth like the cost, but it is going to cost you 640 metal, and 640 metal is pretty much as a Tech 1 bot lab cost. Like, it's not cheap to do, so you have to be aware that T2 will take quite a bit to do, or quite a bit to get through, if that makes sense. So our economy is decently strong enough to support some mechs. So almost always, like every single time, the first thing you want to do when you get T2 is instantly upgrade the mechs you have. Because, well, let's take this mech for example. If I just click on the T1 mech, you can see down here on the left, it's using 3 energy per second, and it's producing 2.1 metal per second. Now, if I click on my T2 bot, and I want to put a T2 mech here, it'll tell me how much metal it's going to produce. 8.48, and you can see that in the little text right above my cursor. 8.48 per second from 2.1, that is over triple the output of metal. So, you know, tripling your metal output is something that is really advantageous in this game. So that is the first thing I'm going to do. Actually, I'm just going to area max and just... Well, he's not going to be able to do that, but, you know. Because he can't get across the water. Bots can't. Bots can't cross water, as we've covered before. And then, what I'm also going to do is shift area max. Do some over here, and then shift area max. Do some here. And then shift click that, and shift click this one. Alright, there we are. Now, a little bit of a chaotic route. I don't really care much because this is an explanation video. If I was playing this seriously, I would probably have my bot trying to take the most efficient route possible and not doing something like this where it goes all the way across the map and just misses these three and then comes back to them later or something. But it, you know, whatever works, right? So I'm actually going to have my Tech 1 bots just building a couple of guard towers just around. He can take his time doing that. Alright, let's get more into it. So, Tech 2. Advanced mech, going to produce more metal. Advanced armored mech, going to produce more metal. It costs more and has a laser. I prefer not building these. I would just build T2 defenses and build regular mech. Because mechs are expensive enough as is to build that you don't really need to put a laser on it. You know, it's not really going to help when it comes to certain things. Alright. Alright, let's attach these 5 engineers to this guy. Let's build 5 more. Let's attach these 3 to this guy. There we go. Alright. Now, let's see. Gone over mechs. Now let's go over storage. So, we've all seen the T1 storage. I build that with my commander almost every time I enter a game, especially for energy, because I like to have energy storage, because energy is a very volatile thing. You can either have, you're almost always going to have a crap ton of it until you have none of it, and it's rarely going to be in the middle unless you're doing extreme amounts of conversion, you know? So we've seen our T1 storage. It's this guy right here. Stores 6,000 energy. Metal stores 3,000. When you get to T2, you get access to hardened storage. So these are going to cost a little bit more. Still relatively cheap. But energy storage is going to be able to store 40,000 energy in just one little pod like this. And what you'll notice is it's actually very difficult to destroy. It has a large amount of health. It has something like, wow, okay, that just keeps going up. Let's see, what is the hit points on this thing? 11,400. I mean, that's comparative to Advanced Bot Lab, that's almost 3 times as much. So hardened energy storage is hardened storage in general is extremely useful when you have incomes that are going to be greater than 200, 300 for metal, or greater than 10,000 for energy. And just to put it in perspective, greater than 10,000 energy consumption is just a basic thing of T2. It'll just happen, alright? We'll get to that in a second, but for now, let's go over the forms of energy. Alright, so we have the advanced things for T1. So we've seen the geothermal plant, right? Now, in Tech 2, there are a couple of different types of advanced geothermal. So there's the advanced geothermal. That's going to produce 1,250 energy per second, which is amazing. Like, that is outstanding power, right? But you also have to be aware that it is extremely hazardous. So when you build a Tech 2 advanced geothermal, if I were to say build it on this mountaintop right here, and it blew up, it would probably take out anything in this area. Like, when it explodes, it explodes, right? So you have to be aware that if you're going to build advanced geothermal, don't build it near your bot lab. I've done it before. Not the greatest idea. Okay. Now, the other thing that you have access to in T2 for Geo is what's known as a Cerberus. Now, Cerberuses are some of my favorite things. Cerberuses are so freaking cool. I love these things. So, what a Cerberus is a advanced geothermal plasma battery. So, it produces you energy, and it's a defensive unit. So it's not a fantastic, it is a fantastic defensive unit. It is not a fantastic energy production unit. It'll produce 400 energy per second, which is good, but not good in terms of T2. The thing it lacks for in energy production, though, it makes up for in defensive ability. It has a DPS, or damage per second, of 1800 and a weapon range of large. I I mean, you can say it has a weapon range of 1650, but that doesn't really help you visualize it. So when this starts being built, I'll show you um, exactly what that's like. All right. So actually, let's build another one over here because I like my Cerberuses. What I like to do is I'll build a Cerberus, and if there's, especially on a map like this, where the geothermals are up high and they can look out over things, I like building one Cerberus and then a geothermal right next to it, so I can get the energy output of wood geo and have a Cerberus to defend it, because Cerberus can seriously hold its own against a lot of things, right? Alright, now let's just build 2 of these and about 20 of these, and give myself some serious build power, because I'm going to need it. I'll show you for what in a bit. Alright. So, let's keep going over eco. So, here's my Cerberus. Let's rewind a second and take a look at this. So this is its weapon range. Absolutely nutty, right? So, now you do have to be aware that anything with this much range you have to pair with radar, or else it won't be able to target things. Like, you just won't know a unit's in that area if you don't have a radar to spot it, right? So, be aware that as you get to T2, information becomes increasingly more important. What are you? Oh, you're attached to that. I see. Stop. Okay. So, let's see. All right, this will be done in 7 seconds. Oh, this is done. All right, now we can show off what a Cerberus can do. So let's say I click here. I want it to attack. Lots of damage. If I tell it to destroy my grunt, it'll probably one-shot it. No? Okay. Yep. A single shot and a grunt is destroyed. So this T2 defense can seriously hold its own against large groups of units, but I would not recommend it for T3 defense, which we'll get into T3 defense today, but we're not going to get into T3 itself. Just know that T3 is essentially a larger T2. It comes with massive health troops, so things that can just tank defenses like this. They do exist in this game, and they're T3. And they're difficult to get, also just absolutely insane. So just be aware of that. They exist. Alright, so Cerberus, awesome to have. Alright, we're going to do that so we can get a bit more power. Now, what are we going to do with all of this? Let's show off the other power bits of T2. So we have our fusion reactor. A fusion reactor is going to, it's going to cost a bit. It's going to cost 4,500 metal and 26,000 energy. That is not cheap by any means. Now, with my eco, as it is, never going to touch that, but that's because I've just been sitting here explaining things and not actually using my ego, which I would never do in a real game. If you want to see a real game, go check out my playthrough that I did with Soggy Fries. It's a decent video, not edited at all, about an hour long. You don't have to watch the whole thing, but I'd suggest just skipping through it and just seeing what it's about. All right, maybe drop a like and subscribe too, you know. So a simple fusion is going to produce 1100 energy per second, which is amazing, right? That's great. But it cannot touch advanced fusion. Advanced fusion is going to produce 3000 energy per second, so nearly triple the energy for less than double the cost, right? So this costs 4,500, this costs less than 10,000. This costs 26,000 energy, this costs 48,000 energy. So advanced fusion will take a hot minute to build. Usually, you do not have this much build power in a single area. I knew I was going to do this, so I built this for this purpose. So it'll be done in a minute, like a literal minute. But generally speaking, advanced fusion and regular fusion will take 2 to 3 minutes, and if you're not careful, they will very easily stall you. I mean, as I'm doing this, it's using 200 metal per second, and this is pretty much the only thing I'm doing. I mean, seriously. So be aware that while advanced fusion is extremely useful for energy, it can run you back quite a bit as far as eco goes. Now, with all this energy, there has to be a better way to convert it other than 70 energy to 1.1 metal a second, right? And of course, there is. There's advanced conversion. This will cost quite a bit of metal compared to the T1. So T1 conversion is only going to cost 1 metal per converter. And that's great if you have 0 metal, right? And you just need a quick influx, right? But advanced converters are better for once you have decent eco, but you need great eco for things like T2 mammoths, say. That costs 2,200 metal and 35,000 energy per unit, right? So advanced conversion is going to convert 600 energy per second, but it's going to turn it into 10.3 metal a second. So let's build 5 of these. So if I build 5 of these, 5 times 600 is going to be something like, what, 30,000? 3,000, not 30,000, right? 5 times 600, yeah. I got out my calculator, I'm not going to lie. Yeah, so that's 600. So 5 of these is going to put me back 600 energy per second. What's great about this is if you have advanced fusion, it's not going to touch your energy reserves, right? But you do have to be aware that these things are extremely energy heavy. So just be careful when you build these things, right? Now, the good thing is, well, you have storage and you have your advanced fusion. You can pull things off like this and be fine. All right, I'm actually going to build quite a bit more storage because, well, I can. And I have the build power too, so I'm going to use all the build power that I have here to just do it. I'm also going to build some more build power over here so I can expand my area. Planning ahead is also extremely useful in this game, so be aware that, like, knowing that I'm going to build fusion over here or build something very large over here or try and expand the size of my base, you don't just want to get a T2 bot and just start building things. It'll take 5 minutes to build and you'll never get it done, not in time for whatever you want to use it for. So you want to get a T1, T2 bot together and seriously just get it going, right? Or get construction turrets going, right? Because construction power is extremely versatile in this game. Alright, now let's have this guy come over here and just build a nice thick line of converters. Meanwhile, you are going to produce some of this. We're going to have that build real fast. Nice. Alright. Let's get into defenses. Alright, so with T2 comes some serious defenses. So we have our Overseer. So this is going to be a plasma deflector. Now, I showed off a plasma cannon here. This guy, it's a plasma battery. It shoots plasma. Plasma is almost always going to be high damage, but it often takes a fair amount of energy to use, right? So the defense against plasma is an Overseer, because plasma is also very high range. So oftentimes you're going to want to have a plasma deflector in order to defend your base, because as you can see, once it's up, there's this little shield here, and this shield, it won't defend against troops, it won't defend against missiles, but it will help you against very, very specific things such as plasma. Now, let's go over some more T2 defenses. So we have our wall. This is just, it's literally just a wall. So if I build a wall here, you can see it'll be a wall. I almost never build these. They're relatively useless. Larger troops can just walk over them, like literally. So I'd advise not building these. Now let's get to the spicy things. Pop-up sabots are amazing. So they're short range, but useful against T1 and T2 troops. They can do a decent amount of damage. They're missile based and they pop up, so it's harder to like send rocket bots at them to shoot them from range, right? Um, so pop-up sabos are super useful against small groups of troops because they can do small amounts of area damage, but I like them for short-range defense. They're kind of a very, very upgraded guard, right? Um, Semi-expensive, but once you have T2, not very. Persecutors. These guys are things that I really like to build. So what I'll do with these is I will literally just build a ring of defenses. Persecutors are plasma based, which means they have range, damage, accuracy isn't their best thing, but they are very good at what they do. So Persecutors I would suggest for T1 and T2 defense specifically. They can deal with T3, but only if you have enough of them in a specific spot. Alright? So you do have to be aware that Persecutors are not the end-all be-all of defense. For that, you're going to want to look at Bulwarks. Now, Bulwarks are the name of the game when it comes to defense. Bulwarks are very large, very expensive units. They cost 3,000 metal and 37,000 energy, right? That's not nearly as much as an advanced fusion, but for a defensive unit where you're going to be needing to build stacks of them instead of just one or two, it's going to be expensive, right? Bulwarks have serious range, despite not being plasma. They have anti-air, I believe. They look like they have tachyon. I'm not entirely sure, but they have a DPS of something like 1,500. So, compared to a Persecutor's DPS of only 320, there's no question. Build Bulwarks, especially for T3 defense, right? These guys are the only things that are going to be useful. Unless you have Armada, in which case tachyons are definitely the way to go. Tachyons take care of large troops very effectively. But as far as Cortex goes, this is the way. Alright, now let's see. As far as defense goes for air, we have the Birdshot, the anti-air flak gun. It's kind of just an upgraded SAM site, in my opinion, to be honest. Like, it can do some stuff. It can shoot down some planes. I would not recommend it, honestly. Oh, you touched it? Okay. Alright. Like, if you're going to build T2 air defense, build Screamers. They're quite a bit more expensive than the Birdshot, right? But the thing about Screamers is their range is absolutely insane. So every other air defense in this game is going to be something where the airplane can come in and then it gets shot down. And it's like, this is great, but odds are that aircraft will still get a hit or two in, right? Like, it's not, they'll never be the end all be all of air defense, right? Any of the others. Screamers, though, these guys have a range that looks like this. They will literally take out the aircraft before it can get within range to hit your units, and that is what you need out of air defense. The only drawback to Screamers is that it stockpiles. So it'll charge up only 5 shots, or 5 things, and like, it'll almost always take them out. And Birdshot even has a higher DPS. But Screamers are going to be the way to go. And if you're worried about air, like seriously worried about them, then just stack Screamers. Alright? That is my recommendation. Now, moving on to a few odder defenses. So you have the missile. This looks like long range. Not an offensive unit, though. Unless you're on a super short range map, the missile really can't be used effectively. There's nothing to defend it, which is great. But the issue is if my opponent is in this blue water over here, that means I have to build my missile here at minimum in order to be able to hit them. That is firmly within my opponent's territory. So, realistically speaking, I'm not going to be able to build a missile for offensive purposes. Missile is going to be defensive, mostly. And honestly, at that point, you have to time your shots so they hit where your opponent is going to be, not where they are. And it's just, it can be a bit much, right? So be aware that missiles are a bit of a selective use case. Now, let's get into some nukes. So nukes are always fun. You know, we like to shoot things that go boom. So you can build a nuke. That's relatively simple. But there's an anti-nuke. And the anti-nuke has this range. It'll only defend things within this range. So if you build it here, it's not going to defend your main base. Anti-nuke is going to charge up twice as fast as regular nuke. And the only thing I would tell you other than that, as far as an anti-nuke goes, is you have to be aware that once it's built, so this is only going to take 10 seconds to build, right? Because my eco is absolutely cracked. But the issue with this is it now has to charge up. So within this time of it charging up, I could get nuked and this would not activate at all, right? So you do have to be aware that this is not the end-all be-all of nuke defense if you just suddenly hear them going nuke launching, because the game will announce it if there is a nuke launched within the map, right? Now, information. We have advanced radar. So regular radar is going to be this green line right here, or more accurately, from this tower, it's going to be this, right? If I get an advanced radar up in the same spot, let's just put one here, you'll notice that the difference is here to, come on, come on, come on, you can do it, yeah, baby. Okay, so it's going to be here to there. So the difference is significant, right? I mean, you can directly compare the two, and advanced radar is going to be what you want. Advanced jammers, that comes with the territory, so it's just going to be a larger range like this, rather than, say, a shorter range. Oh, those build advanced jammers, okay. So it's going to be, short range jammer is going to be this, compared to a long range jammer, which is going to be this. And you just heard the long range plasma cannon going off, which we're about to cover. So, long range plasma, extremely long range. And I mean talking like, they can hit everything in here, easily. If I target this mech, they'll target the mech, and it'll be able to hit it. The issue is its fire rate, so it's not a defensive unit. This is very offensive. So it does have to charge up, it takes its time doing it, and it has to be placed up high. So if I try and shoot something, say, it has the range to hit over here, right? But the issue is if this mountainside is in front of it, and I try and tell it to target this, it will not even, I don't even think it'll, yeah, it won't even target it. Because, well, it's calling me an idiot. Because it cannot shoot through this mountain, right? So it just will completely ignore what I told it to do. So you have to be aware that even long-range plasma cannons like the Basilisk have their limitations. Now, let's see what else do I have to go over. Calamity. It's essentially the Basilisk on steroids. It can fire extremely rapidly. It also sucks back like, I don't know, something like 60,000 energy per second, because every shot takes 12,000 and it shoots like this. I mean, with a reload time of half a second and an energy per shot of 12,000, that means per second it's using 24,000 energy. That is stupid. I would highly recommend not building this. Unless you're just toying with your opponent, it's not worth it to build a Calamity. At all. Right? Alright, some other nuances of T2. You can build T1 bot factory, you can build T2 bot factories, other ones if you want. You can go T3, we're going to cover this later. You can build air pads. So we haven't gotten into air, but one cool thing about air is you can set what percentage health you want them to retreat at. So if I set them to 50% retreat, that I believe is the default for certain units. If there's an air pad anywhere on the map, that is mine. When that any singular unit gets to 50 HP, 50% health, they'll automatically return to the air pad to get health. And then once they're fully healed, they'll go back to where they were previously deployed. And can be super useful to just not necessarily worry about it, right? Now, we also have our Nemesis. Honestly, I don't know what this does. It's an intrusion countermeasure system. I think this might be for spy bots. That could be my best guess. I honestly wish I knew. Somebody tell me in the comments. Let me know what it is. I'd love to know. So, you know, if you can figure out what that is, let me know. Pinpointer. So this is like, let me show you something. So if I target this spot exactly, right? If I target this unit and I let this guy fire, I'm gonna shoot. Aw. So you'll notice that it actually hit here, despite the fact that it was targeting here. So plasma cannons and plasma units and pretty much any artillery in general is actually going to be a little bit inaccurate. So it may be targeting this, but it's going to hit here instead of right on it. So what a pinpointer will do is it'll just make everything a bit more accurate, which can be extremely useful for just efficiency in general. And I believe that's it. That is all we had to cover. I think I can go over the nuke really quick. A nuke is just, it's exactly like what it sounds. It's a very large bomb. It has infinite range. So what you'll notice if I hit attack, it just gives me an attack unit. It does not give me a circle. No matter the map you're on, you can just select a spot and you'll see that its range of damage is absolutely insane. So easily counterable with an anti-nuke. Anti-nukes are so easy to build, but if you can build a nuke and set it off, I mean, its damage is going to be, let's see, energy per shot. So it's going to take 87,000 energy, right, to shoot. But with a DPS of 5,000 and its time to reload is like 2 minutes or something insane, its damage is absolutely insane. If you get a direct hit on a commander, it's pretty much an instant kill. Sometimes it isn't, but it can seriously hurt your opponent. Like if somebody launched a nuke into here and landed it here, what would happen is all of everything that I've built would be destroyed. Maybe some of these would survive, maybe my pop-up subos, but everything major in here, annihilated instantly. So, yeah. Ending on the note of a big bang. I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day or night. Subscribe, like the video, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Thanks so much for watching.